Hello everybody.
Next up, we return to European action for the second leg of our Thursday night league last 16 tie against Freiburg. Kick-off is at the rather ludicrous hour of 5:45pm. Mustn't upset the TV companies after all, must we? Get there as soon as you can if you haven't got an early pass from work. There's no away goals rule, of course, if you're still not used to that rule no longer existing. Extra time and, if required, kicks from the penalty mark may be used to decide the tie. So maybe that early kick-off might be handy for once. So Freiburg then. Well, there's not a lot I can add to last week's preview, really. Since we last met, they picked up a 2-1 win on the road at Bochum, a score which kind of masked the fact that they were decidedly under the cosh for the second half. And, for the second time in a week, they required the services of a referee willing to give a dubious decision their way to guarantee the win. Ginter bringing down Brzezinski by virtue of the, by now apparently legal, method of grabbing his opponent round the neck. That win left Freiburg in 8th place, some 7 points behind Eintracht Frankfurt, who occupy the last European place in the Bundesliga. So they will need all the help they can get should they want European action this time next season. Clearly they're getting it at present. On the injury front, the aforementioned Ginter, who himself has only just returned from injury, was withdrawn from action with some unspecified knock. Presumably he had friction burns to his hands from Brzezinski's neck, but he is expected to be fit for Thursday. There are no further injury issues from last week as far as Daisy could tell. However, the word coming out of Germany suggests that, despite making a difference in the first leg and starting against Bochum, Grigorcic is likely to return to the bench, with Höhler likely to get the nod once more. Now, given the bijou and compact size of this mini-preview, I will eschew the usual look at the wild and wacky world of association football on this occasion, and move straight on to us. If ever there were a game of two halves, it was Sundays. Lord alone knows why we didn't think to, attack until the second half. There are issues in one or two places. Unfortunately, Phillips is looking increasingly like the solution to a problem we don't actually have at the moment. Things might have been different for Phillips had we signed him when we originally wanted him. That, married to a full pre-season, might have seen the player reach the standards of which he was once capable. However, coming into an established squad halfway through a season is difficult enough, even when you have actually been playing regularly, which Phillips obviously hasn't been. Ward-Prowse had an ineffective half, and his replacement by Antonio was a positive move. Antonio did cause problems, but it was Ings' introduction with 8 minutes left that finally got us level. The law of the X and all that, I suppose. Ings was very unfortunate not to have had a hat-trick, the Stockley Park microscope spotting that a portion of Antonio's DNA was found in a skin cell that strayed offside to deny Ings' first effort. His second effort was a fine finish, and only the crossbar prevented him from netting the winner. Ings has performed well against the bottom two, but we really now need to see him do it against teams of a higher calibre. As far as our injuries are concerned, Cornet is regretting walking under a ladder as his hamstring continues to heal. Meanwhile, Emerson is still struggling with his groin. Mr. Moyes was quite cagey during his press conference, but he's rated no better than 50-50 to take part on Thursday night. So expect Cresswell to continue at left back if required. So, let's move on to the prediction then. There are a number of factors to consider here. From the visitors' point of view, it's a question of do we stick or twist? Do they go all out for the second that would set the cat amongst the pigeons? Or do they try and sit on what they have? From our own perspective, I suspect they're likely to stick 3 men on Paquetá every time he gets the ball again. Now, one of the reasons that was so effective was that neither Paquetá nor the rest of the sides dealt with the problem. Paquetá just went off and sulked, whilst it seemed not to occur to anybody else that if they had 3 players on Paquetá, they were likely to be short-handed elsewhere. Hopefully, somebody on the coaching staff will have twigged what was going on and have been looking at some way of exploiting the rather narrow-minded view of the Freiburg midfield on this matter. I think we need to start this match much as we did the Brentford one, and certainly not as we did against Burnley. If we can do that, we ought to take the tie. They're not that great a side, and their win last week was as much a product of our trying to keep things level for the second leg as it was from their own efforts. This is a one-off match now, so there's no tie management to consider. So on that basis, I'm going to place the £2.50 that I was going to send to the Football League to cover the Premier League payment shortfall on a home win. Please, if you will, Mr. Winston, stick it on a wager for us to win. Make it 3-1. Enjoy the game.